Garrett, you've got a guy who's not a stranger to anybody. He burst onto the scene as a true freshman last year. Tell us about Evan Stewart, why he's going to crank it up to that next level this year.
Yeah, guys. I mean, Evan Stewart, look, when you talk about wide receivers having tools, this is another one where he just has all the tools, right? We can talk about him being a freaky athlete. We can talk about him having the speed, being able to burn you down the field. The route running is surprisingly great from a guy coming out of high school. But guys, I want to talk more about this guy's story in terms of a breakout candidate because I think that the reason I pick him as a breakout candidate has way more to do about where he's come from than necessarily kind of that first year success. So just to run the numbers on his first year, he had 53 catches for 649 yards. That's 12.2 yards per catch. Great numbers for a receiver. Most of that did come against Alabama and Florida. Against Alabama, he had 8 catches for 106. Against Florida, 8 catches for 120. But guys, he also only scored 2 touchdowns. Really low on the touchdown number. Now, obviously, Texas A&M did not score very many touchdowns last year. Anyways, they couldn't hardly score 2 per game. So 2 from Evan Stewart, not a great number, but that doesn't really have much to do with him as much as it has to do, I think, with again where we're going, both in his story and with what A&M is doing, sort of around him. So his story, for those who don't know, he didn't really play very much his senior year of high school. Right, didn't play very much. Not a lot of consistency there. When you're not doing that well, when you're not playing at that level for very long, it can kind of take that competitive edge away. We've seen guys lose a senior year of high school and really struggle to get in as a freshman. He played just fine as a freshman, but these are given a couple different factors at A&M. Number one, the quarterback situation at A&M last year was a nightmare. Right, they filtered between 3 different guys. Didn't seem like they knew who they wanted. They start the year with Haynes King, who now is transferred to Georgia Tech. They move on then to Max Johnson, who he was fine. He was sort of serviceable, very much a bus driver type quarterback, at least with his couple games he played at A&M. Then he experiences an injury. They go back to Haynes for the Alabama game. He gets hurt in that game. So then they go back to Connor Wigman as their third option for the year. He plays just fine in his first couple games. Then they have a game where half the team gets the flu against Florida, so they're back to Haynes, who I don't think was completely healthy when they played that game, and then back to Connor one more time to finish the season after he loses the flu. So if you're looking at that, that's not a consistent situation for any type of wide receiver, nonetheless a true freshman who didn't really play that much his senior year of high school. Combine that with the fact that now you're bringing in a brand new offensive coordinator in Bobby Petrino, who had plenty of success in his past. A lot of people very excited to see what he could do, and excited to see. Apparently, based on this last week's news articles, excited to see if he's going to actually call the plays. And that's a whole other thing that we could hash out, but that it's probably not worth our times. And then if you combine that with what I think will be better receiver talent around him, getting Anaya Smith back, and then getting to pair him with the Moose Muhammad, I think that'll pull some coverage away from him. He did tend to be the ISO guy, so he would be the singular guy on one side of the formation that ended up getting a lot of safety help and people shading his direction to kind of smush him toward the sidelines. I think being able to pull some of that away from him is going to be a massive benefit to him, should help quarterbacks look his way a little bit more frequently. And look, I just don't think a sophomore slump is in the works for him. A lot of people say, okay, you had a decent freshman year, sophomore slump. I think for him, the issue there is you're going to get one more year in the weight room. The issue that you had was that you didn't have consistency, nothing close to consistency for the last couple of years of your life. Now you're going to get a full off season with one quarterback who you know is going to be throwing you passes next year, and a new offense where, and another thing that Bobby Petrino doesn't get enough credit for, Bobby Petrino uses his playmakers. Whether you like him or not, and this might be a fatal flaw for him, he forces the ball to his playmakers. If you're the guy, he's going to throw the ball at you 10 to 15 times a game, whether you're double covered or triple covered. And that'll be the one read that you can make on that whole play. And so, for better or worse, I think Evan Stewart is that guy in the A&M offense. I think he's going to have a great year in a resurgent A&M offense. Now, how good, how resurgent, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that there are brighter days ahead for both Evan Stewart and the Aggies.
If I put the over under at 950 receiving yards for Evan Stewart, what would you guys take?
I would take the over. I actually think he's going to be that type of guy. I think he will focus. Now, the only reason you could see under, I think, is if they force the ball more to guys like Anaya Smith and Moose instead of him.
Yeah.
I just don't think that you're going to be able to keep him from getting his. I think you're going to see a lot more of the, oh, and there he goes. He's wide open 10 yards past the safety. I think you're going to see a lot more of that this year at Evan Stewart, where he's just going to kind of, compile those yards out of, big chunk plays, as well as some little things. I mean, guys, if you guys look back and look at the Alabama game, him jumping over Alabama DBs who are currently projected to go in the first 15 picks. I mean, come on, these guys are really talented. Evan Stewart's extremely talented. I think with a better situation, which clearly we're getting a better situation, 950 seems like an easy bar to hit.
I would take the under for two reasons. Yeah, one, A&M has several veteran pass catchers. We didn't even mention the tight end room. Donovan Green leading one of the best tight end rooms in the country.
He's solid.
The other part of it is, guys, A&M's got to do it first, right? Before I'm going to say that Evan Stewart gets to 1,000 receiving yards, I need to see it. And yeah, the play calling, listen, people are gonna make headlines out of that. The whole media controversy that spun up over Jimbo's press conference and his defensive answer, that was before spring practice even started. So the media, truly is making up headlines just to make up headlines. Petrino builds an offense around his playmakers. Jimbo built it around his quarterback. And for a team that desperately needs to embrace the downfield passing attack, the explosive nature that you can get from a guy like Anais Smith underneath, I think this is a godsend for Texas A&M. Petrino does not have a system that he forces his players into. He builds that system around the players. And I think that's what's been sorely missing these last two seasons in College Station. So I'll say under. Obviously, I would love to see the over, not only as an A&M fan, but as a college football fan, because those wide receivers that just go gangbusters are so much fun to watch, right? I mean, think about how much we enjoyed watching Jalen Hyatt, who, did it by running 2 routes, but he got open every time, right? So give me more of that. I'd love to see East Stu cook a little bit this year.
What's fascinating is in the entire SEC last year, there were only 3 receivers that beat that 950-yard mark. So just a crazy talented defensive league, obviously, but the guys that are the guy are just becoming more and more rare. Not saying that Evan Stewart can't do that. He was 16th in the conference as a freshman, had a really solid freshman season. I think he will be the basically wide receiver 1. But yeah, it's a tough line to hit. I don't know what I would take on the over-under. I'd probably lean under.
See, if you're asking me, and again, you came here for hot takes. If you're asking me, will Evan Stewart be a top 3 receiver in the SEC next year? I'm going to say yes. I think that he's that guy. I think he's that talented. I'm going to say yes. I think that's a thing. I mean, especially if we're including, postseason, yes, I would include that. Yes, he's going to hit 950. Now, Mitch, you said 1,000. He could hit 951, but I'm not going to go with 1,000. Hey. Come on, 1,000's a little aggressive there, Mitch.
That's 2 broken plays away from being able to happen based off your line. Listen, from your lips to God's ears. I think all Aggies wish desperately for. I mean, who is the last great receiver that they had in College Station?
It'd have been Christian Kirk. Yeah.
But even Kirk didn't put up those numbers. So
yeah, there's other reasons for that. One of those reasons' name, I believe, is Jake Spavital. So
listen, I mean, if you got that kind of production from Stewart, you would be watching something that's not happened in College Station in quite some time. So, plenty of reasons to tune in to watch what Evan can do this year, and I know all 3 of us are really hoping that that's for a lot of positive reasons.
Gracious, how